Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of To The Point podcast. This is a special Saturday afternoon edition of To The Point because, you know, my guest today, he's an engineer. He's working around the clock. He's smart. He needs his mornings. So I said, you know what, Dawson, let's do it in the afternoon. Let's let the day breathe. Let's let it breathe. So today, joining me is my former roommate and good friend, Dawson Warman. Dawson, welcome to the podcast, and thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, Jug. I appreciate it. You're right there. I need my mornings on Saturdays. Not like you. I can't run off of 4 hours of sleep and go. Need my Z's, right?
Yeah, each of us has our skills. Like you're good with math and like a lot of different things that I've seen living with you over the years, figuring stuff out. I'm good at getting up early and not sleeping. We all have our
Yeah,
different talents. So
yeah. I noticed. I had to come on the podcast because you guys have been chirping me these past couple episodes. Wardo and Seamus,
yeah,
get out here,
Seamus has been tough
protect my
on you.
side. I
Yeah.
noticed. We'll have to have a group podcast, all of us on, and have round.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that's something that I want to organize in the future. Have a little round table as the season gets more as we get a month into the year. Maybe we'll do a round table where we can all talk about the NHL as a whole and where it stands. But I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic. Especially we can't see each other now with COVID restrictions. It's hard not seeing your friends.
Exactly. So no, it's just fun to be on with you today. But for everybody today, we're going to be talking about the NHL awards. We're going to kind of do our predictions. The Hart Trophy, Ted Lindsay, Lady Byng, Selke, and we'll go down the list and we'll give our take. But before we get to that, I thought we'd talk about kind of the teams that we've been most impressed with out of each division, some players that have really stood out after the first 3 weeks and change of the season. So starting in the Canadian division, Dawson, what's a team that's really stood out to you early on in the year?
Hands down, Montreal. They've been steaming their way through, playing as a team. I find Toffoli's lighting it up. I found ever since he's left LA, he's kind of stepped in his own. Those I think it was 10, 11 games in Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
Now back with Montreal, just kind of stepping into the leadership role. I think he has
He's already
how many
got
points? 10,
he's got
8.
yeah, he's got four or five goals, two shorthanded goals, which is really impressive.
Oh, I know, it's fantastic. But yeah, they don't have any superstars on their team. Like you could say that Price is a superstar and Shea Weber, but for forwards wise, like you have Toffoli, Suzuki, Gallagher coming in together, playing as a team, and really creating those offensive chances. Plus, I think
Yeah,
adding Allen is a big add. Having a two tandem good goalies, and especially such a short season, you need to have two goalies you can rely on, right?
absolutely. I mean, Allen starting tonight against Calgary. Any other year, Price is going both games against Calgary, but
Yeah, exactly.
he's not Charlie Lindgren, who you have no faith in, or Antti Niemi, who's like, what the hell is he doing in the NHL?
Yeah,
Those
exactly,
days,
right?
those days are behind them. But yeah, Washington. I'm sorry, Montreal would be my team as well. And for me, Dawson, in the Canadian division, there's more disappointing teams than there are positive ones. Like
Oh, I
every
know.
team other than Winnipeg out west has been a disappointment so far this year.
I know. If you could say that the Canucks had a couple good games, but they played against the Senators there this week, and I'm a big fan of the Senators, but nothing really good to say about them right now. They got a couple good young guys like Stutzel, Norris, and Kachuk, but just had not enough to keep up with those guys.
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough season for them because every game you go into, you're an underdog. I've said that in the
Yeah,
podcast before, but you don't have your Detroits, you don't have your Chicago's where you're going to get an easy win.
exactly.
Um, but yeah, I think for me, I also want to mention Justin Hall. I think he's played really well for the Maple Leafs,
I
and
noticed.
it's
Yep.
a guy that doesn't get a lot of publicity. He's 27, 28 years old now, but
Yep.
he's playing with Jake Muzzin. They're the shutdown pair, and
Mm-hmm.
he's arguably been their best D so far this year. And he's not going to put up a lot of points, but for a D like him, that's a good thing. If you don't hear his name, then it's just gravy for him.
Well, exactly. They say the best D or the BD you don't hear about, right? Guy making the first pass, the guy
Mhm.
angling the guy to the boards and making the transition neutral zone. Those are the ones you need. You can have your flashy guys like Eric Carlson or PK and stuff like that, but you need you need those guys to make the exit from the defensive zone to actually make it work or have a good team, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason Toronto's defensive plays look better. I mean, obviously, it had nowhere to go but up in the past couple of years. You know, he's been good. He's been good for them, and you know, Toronto as a whole has looked like a strong team to start the year.
Exactly. I really like the way Matthew's been playing. He's there. Everyone just kind of gravitates towards him. He kind of, if he's playing well, the whole team's playing well. I find, you know what I mean?
Absolutely, he looks like a full player now. In past years, he was just kind of floating a lot.
Yeah.
He's engaged every game, and he's an impressive guy.
Exactly.
Yeah. So the East Division,
I'm
who's
wondering
really
if someone
who stood out for you in the East?
the Boston for me right now. I really like the way he consistently playing without Pasternak too, the superstar. I've
Mm-hmm.
also liked Washington with their big hitters. The only thing that makes me come away from Washington winning that division is their goaltending. I'm not sure how much I trust Samsonov as their starter. Vanacek has been really good right up, but he's in his rookie season, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they know you know what you're getting from with Rask and Halak from your goalie.
Yeah. I've liked Washington's resolve, just not having, you know, a starting goalie, the greatest goal scorer in NHL history, in my opinion. Uh, Orlov, Kuznetsov, their second line center. I mean, they've shown a lot of backbone. Vanacek stepped up, but yeah, I don't know how their goaltending is going to go either. I mean, Samsonov's still got to prove himself, and that's kind of a theme in that whole division is goaltending that's unproven. I mean, Jari, you got Rask, who you see, Rask, you can trust to play, but is he going to play? You know, is he going to
It's
go home and quit again? You know like you never know. You never know.
I would feel if I was the Boston right now that right now they're kind of better situated. Last year was kind of like not surprised, but it was just there wasn't really much of a plan, so why risk it at that opportunity? But now since they are situated in the bubble and everyone's kind of playing in, hopefully he won't bounce like last time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you got to hope so because I mean he's so crucial to their team. So we'll see. But who's a player in that division that stood out for you so far?
Oh, Marchand, Bergeron, I guess 2-1. Like those guys are just been dominant right now. That's why I've been picking Boston. They just take over the game. I
Yeah.
watched I think it was Wednesday or Tuesday when they played Pittsburgh,
Mm-hmm.
and like Letang couldn't get a puck out of the corner because they were just on him. Like you looking up the center, you got Bergeron down there. You going up the wing, Marchand's coming right at you. And if you do get by them, their D men are going to step it up and take it away from you.
Yeah, Boston's looked. I agree with those two guys, and I'll just say a strong start to the year and kind of a surprising one for this team. Jack Hughes for the New Jersey Devils. I thought his rookie campaign was lackluster at best, and I'm going to be nice saying lackluster, but he's still very small, but
Yeah.
he looks a step quicker and just maybe just a little bit more confident. He's not afraid to kind of take chances this year, and New Jersey's 2 points out of a playoff spot, so they deserve some credit, you know, to start the year.
Well, they have a lot of young guys playing. We'll get into it after, but yeah, Hughes really stepped up. I think last year was just a ton of pressure coming in. You know how the media shines about number one overall pick. You
Mm-hmm.
got to come in and you got to win the Calder no matter what if you're number one, right? Like same for the same like 5-game drought for Lafreniere
Yeah.
coming in. It's hard to adjust, especially too like these are guys are just young. They're coming and playing against men here that have been playing in the league for 5-10 years and the best of the best. You can't just always expect someone to come up and light it up, right?
No, exactly. And you know, he took the year and he took it on the chin, and I think he
Yep.
took the time off to get better. Clearly, I mean, he went almost a calendar year without playing, and he's had a good start to the year. Ty Smith has looked really good for them on the back end.
He is such a smooth skating defenseman.
Yeah, I like to watch him play.
Yeah,
He's
him and Severson are by far my favorite 2D on that squad.
yeah, I think yeah, Severson's got a lot of upside. I
Mm-hmm.
think he can really morph into a top two defenseman, especially when they get that $9 million black hole off their back end. No pun intended.
He's just a liability now. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
I think he has maybe was it I forget how many games played, but he only has 1 point out there, and his plus minus is nothing too crazy.
Yeah, he's playing a ton. I give him credit for that. I mean, they're playing him like 27 minutes a game, and uh he he's not what he used to be. So it's tough. And again, that's not all his fault, because when you're put on a team and you're asked to play minutes that you're not supposed to, that you're not equipped to, that's organizationally, that's a fault of them too. So I
Well,
mean,
exactly. You mentioned this in the previous podcast. Like, if you're not it's hard to be number one D man in same case with Morgan Riley off of the Leafs, right? He's a great D man for sure, but is he the number one you could have percents like a quarterback of your squad? You can
mhm.
rely. He's the backbone. Is he like a Drew Doughty or you know what I mean? An
Yeah,
old Duncan Keith, right?
right. Yeah, he just isn't anymore. He could be in Montreal, but players get older, the game gets. I mean, very well, Eric Carlson. He's not the guy that he used to be.
Oh yeah, exactly. It's Eric Carlson who right now? Base, and that's basically what it is.
Yeah, he's just a guy
Yeah.
in the NHL. Um, Pivoting to the Central Division. I mean, this has been the weirdest division because it's the COVID division. I mean, Dallas has played 4 games, Tampa's played 5, Florida's played 5, Carolina's got like 5 games in. But of what little hockey they played, who's stood out for you?
I've liked Tampa so far, just on the sole fact on how their team is made up, and then Vasilevsky's playing super strong. Also, with Hedman's playing strong too, but it's hard to give a good analysis on the team because 4 or 5 games in, you're off and on. Like right now, I think Columbus is leading the division,
Mm-hmm.
but depending on your play, if like you play some Detroit's, like you're not having a good matchup there, right? Compared to playing against Tampa, where you'll have a harder game. Dallas has been nice. I really like Dennis Guernov,
Yeah,
34.
Gurianov, yeah.
He has a heavy shot, and he just kind of in the right place at the right time. And they're just him and Pavelski have just been playing phenomenal out of the 4 games I've seen.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, Dallas. I mean, 4 games or 4-0. I mean, that you can only play who's on your schedule.
Exactly right.
Yeah, Little Joe has looked really good for Dallas. Hudobin's been solid in net. I don't know how they're in a weak division, so that helps them with Detroit and Chicago, and Chicago's a mess. But
Oh, it's pretty bad. But I wouldn't count out the Hurricanes. You never know what you're gonna get with them, right? Always
they
a hard effort.
they play hard every night with Brandon
Yep.
Moore as their head coach, and I watched a lot of that Tampa game the other night. They won in overtime, and it was
Yep.
it was a good game. Like they were right there with
Oh
Tampa.
yeah.
So like,
And again, for the amount of games they played, Mrazek's been playing good. I think Mrazek can come into his own and become a starter eventually if he gets more confidence and stuff. But Aho's fantastic. Teravainen is good. They have a good group. Svechkov too. Good
yeah,
D-men too.
Cash.
Slav.
Yeah.
Exactly. They have guys they can cornerstone around, right? So
Yeah, no, Slavin, Dougie Hamilton, Pesci in the back thing. That's just 3 really strong defensemen on one team. And
I find Slavin's very underrated. They
no,
don't talk about him very much.
he's so underrated. I
Hmm.
think he's this good that if the Olympics was in a month, or next month, say it was this year, I think he'd be on the Canadian Olympic team.
You think so, really?
I think so. Yeah.
Wait, that's a good point. The demon that we would have put on the last Olympics are getting older and slower, right? So,
Like Keith wouldn't be on the team.
you know,
I put Drew Doughty on the team, but would he make it? I don't think it's a lock.
I think you'd have him maybe for a power play, and that'd be maybe it, right? So,
PK, I don't think would make it. I mean, he was eating poutine last time.
yeah, I don't think I'd put PK on my team. No,
Right. So I just think there's not that many great Canadian defensemen when you get down to it, you're like, okay, is this guy really going to be on the team? Like you kind of, when you start weeding them out, you get the numbers get smaller and smaller.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so how about, we mentioned a couple, I'll mention another guy, Oliver Bjorkstrand. He's not a very well-known guy. He played in the WHL for the Portland Winterhawks when, they were kind of in their heyday with Seth Jones was around the team, and they were good. He he's starting to come into his own here. He might not have the flashiest numbers, and he's not the best skater. He's a Danish player, but he's got a great shot.
Mhm.
He's also a very good passer. And for a team of Columbus that's going to need goal scoring, I think he could be a catalyst for them. Obviously, Patrick Laine is going to come, so he may lose some power play time. But, Bjorkstrand's a hard worker and an unknown guy, but a name to keep your eye on this year.
Well, exactly. I didn't jot it down in my notes too, but that awfully one-timer he's been displaying this week,
Yeah.
he's been lethal with that.
Yeah, last
Lethal.
night, that shot against, no goalie stopping that one last night.
No, exactly. And speaking of Line, who would you put in Line's line? If you're Torch right now, he's coming in. Who are you trying to put together to make the best line possible?
I might put him with Texier at center, to be honest.
I've been impressed with Texier so
He's a
far.
good player. I like him.
Yeah,
Um,
all around, both ends.
I might put him
Nice
with
shootout goal.
I might put him with Texier and Atkinson
Hmm.
because Atkinson can score, but he's also a good passer and he's quick and
He's very fast. Yeah,
he's fast and he can drop the puck to Line. Like say you get an odd man rush and Line's trailing, he's Atkinson can give him the puck and Texier is a burner.
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I'd probably do something like that, and then you have Bjorkstrand with Foligno underneath to kind of anchor your second unit.
Yeah, true enough. Who is there? Is it the rookie or one of their Robinson?
Eric
See him playing
Robinson,
last night. He
yeah,
played really well last night.
he's
I caught a couple periods.
he might be the fastest player, and like if he was in a race, I think he could give McDavid a run for his money. He's quick
Really?
when he gets that puck. Whew.
Yeah.
If he could get better hands, he'd be lethal. But like he had a nice goal last night, but he is some quick. Like he gets last year, I think he played 35 games, and the stat was he averaged 2 breakaways a game.
Really?
Yeah. Missed the net a lot, but he's getting them.
Yeah. Well, they can something you can sharpen up on, right? If you got
Yeah.
the speed, then that's good to go.
And we'll finish with the West Division. This division has a lot of teams that don't have a lot of high end talent. They've got a lot of young players, but the top 3 teams in the division are 3 of the best in the NHL with St. Louis, Vegas, and Colorado. So who stood out for you so far?
I got Vegas. I really like them so far. Mark Stone, he's old senator, big fan of him, and now he stepped over wearing the C this year. He's been one of my favorites, and they have a phenomenal decor.
Mm-hmm.
Theodore's really stepped up. That's a big signing for Petrolangelo, and then White Claw's been playing solid, and I like Martinez too. Plus, with like we were talking about with tandem goalies, Heaven Laner and Fleury, I find they've been doing really well.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with Vegas. I think Colorado's not going to be a real threat to them until they upgrade their goaltending. I think Grubauer's been solid to start the year. He's 5-2, but you're not winning a cup with him. For me anyway, you're not winning a cup with him. And Vegas is like Montreal. They got a team and they're built
Exactly.
like a team. They don't have superstars, but they have a lot of good players. And
Oh, phenomenal.
yeah, Fedor and Petrangelo arguably both could be number 1 defensemen, and they're both on the same team. So
Oh, and that's you can. There's nothing better than having a great decor, right? You can rely on them to get the puck out and get some offense from them. It's both ways. But I totally agree with Avalanche. They were second to my opinion on that, but I can't. Their goaltending, right? Grubauer can only play so much. I don't know if he's like a K Price to take over. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Or a Vasilevsky in that sense.
Yeah, and I really love Nazem Kadri's game to start the year.
Oh yeah.
He's really good player when he wants to play, and he had some problems in Toronto, but he didn't get suspended last year. He played well in the playoffs, and he's continued that this year. So Kadri brings it night in, night out, and he brings an element that a lot of players don't bring anymore, and that's some toughness.
Well, that nitty gritty style, right? Like that's my style game. I like to see players play that. I find it's getting a lot softer. You probably seen Torch interview there a couple days ago about the evolution of players getting really soft, and it's a different way of coaching them. But when you have guys like Najim Kadri or your boy Tom Wilson coming in and hitting, playing the body and making guys feel when they go in the corners. Like, it's nice to see that. You almost need more of it.
I think if you had more of it, you would win because almost back in the day, you had so many tough guys. I think I'm reading Nick Kiprios's book right now, and the '94 New York Rangers had so much tough bastards on their team, and they won.
Exactly.
And I'm not saying you gotta have fighters, but if you have guys that will throw a check, like if you're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs, I like to pick on this team, but it works every time because it's just a fact. If you have tougher
Yeah.
players like the Bruins have for years, Columbus, that go into the corner and win puck battles, you're gonna win more games than not because the skilled players don't do it the whole regular season. And we've seen they have a tough time adjusting to it when it comes to the playoffs.
Yeah. And it's some sort of a mindset too with that style, right? Like you see multiple cases like Boston's after playoff run, you have guys like Patrice Bergeron, uh, McAvoy. These guys are all hurt with major injuries, and they're still going out there playing nitty gritty, throwing the body and stuff. You don't see that from your like modern day superstars, right? Like say if Marner got hurt or something like that.
No, it's they gut it out until it's over. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's what hockey players do. But yeah, so any other player that you want to touch on before we move pivot to the awards?
No, let's start up on the awards.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna go through kind of the major awards, and I didn't tell Dawson what awards we're gonna go in the list because I just want to keep him on edge and myself too, because why not? Having a schedule sometimes sucks. So let's start with the coach of the year. We'll go coach of the year, and then we'll go GM right after. But let's go coach of the year. Who do you have right now? Who do you think is going to be the coach of the year?
That's a tough one. At first, at the start of the season, I was thinking Brendamore, but with only playing so many games right now, it's really hard to take a seat on how Carolina's going to do. But with all the controversy going on with Columbus and then them starting off, I think Torch might pull it, win, and take over in that style. And if he gets line A in order and he's able to come in day and night like he did that, I think it was last week when we played first game, and they make the playoffs, I think he could potentially be a good candidate.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think if Line A comes in as a superstar, I think he'll get love because he's going to get a lot of credit for that. And he's already won 2 coaches of the year. I love Torts.
Exactly.
He's one of the best interviews. I love how mean he is to the media because that's just,
he's truthful, right?
yeah, he's honest. I mean, it's
yeah.
Yeah, I like the Torts one. I think that could work. I went with Alain Vigneault, and I picked Alain Vigneault because I think the winner of the East Division, the coach is going to get a lot of votes just because it's the toughest division to win. So
exactly.
I don't know if the East Division coach is going to win the division by more than 4 or 5 points. But if you win it, you had to go through hell to get there. And
exactly.
I like Philly's roster a lot, and I think AV has a good chance of taking it home.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good to go.
I was having connection issues. Yeah, no, I agree. East is terribly tough. That's by far the toughest division in the league right now. But I had on my third choice was Bruce Cassidy because I think Boston's probably going to pull through, and the same for the same reason. If they're able to come out of that, then you definitely deserve a reward for that, right?
Right.
The only issue I have with Philly is I just don't know if Drew and Voracek, if they don't pick it up, I don't know if they can get that extra spark to kind of push them through. I mean, they have a great team. I really like Konechny. He just reminds me of another Marchand, another nitty gritty style. A little bit dirty, but I mean, hey, it's part of the game.
When you're a small guy, you got to do it.
Oh yeah, when you're putting guys like Char out there, Reeves, like it's hard to, like all the big guys, you got to push through somehow and get an edge, right?
Oh, absolutely. And no, I agree with that sentiment. Another guy I'd feel closely behind AV was Peter Laviolette. He's in his first year. We see this award go to a lot of first year coaches, and with Washington with their COVID issues so far, I think their roster's fantastic. I think it's really good. But even, again, winning this division, battling through the COVID issues, getting 7 out of 8 points this past week,
Yeah, that was impressive.
that was really impressive for me. And coming back down 3-0 to the Islanders and winning, I mean, that's tough to do.
Yeah, speaking of the Islanders, what's going on there?
For me, you can only play that defensive style so long before it gets stale with players. I think we've
Yeah.
seen that in the history of the game. And I worry that, Trotz just kind of has lost some of the players. They're not buying in as much as they used to. They got in the second round, they got to a conference final, but couldn't get over the hump.
Yeah.
So, I had them missing the playoffs. I'm surprised they're this slow to start the year, but yeah, I kind of think it's the players maybe not wanting to do, Trotz's thing so far this year.
Yeah, especially like Barzell. He's a run and gun kind of style. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Super fast, very skilled. Like you can build around it, but if you're going to kind of restrict them, it's hard. It's worked for them in the couple seasons past, right? You got so far, but like you said, it kind of gets. They probably get sick and tired of it.
Yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. And so moving to GM of the year, who do you have winning that?
This one is a complete shot in the dark. Well, not a shot in the dark, but kind of an outlier one. I got potentially Bergevin, just based on the moves he made this year and the way that Canadians are playing well.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to see him kind of win. Having Allen as their second backup. Toffoli, Anderson, it's a great addition. I know you love him. Suzuki's playing super well. That's a steal. I think they got from Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So that's a steal. But right behind them, it's McCrimmon from Vegas. Like he made some really good signings too. So I had Bergevin to start, but either or, I just wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I also had Bergevin number one.
Oh, did you? I didn't think we agree on that one.
Yeah, no, I had Bergevin. I had Bergevin. So far this year, if the season ended today, he would win it. I mean, that goes without saying. Obviously, there's still a lot of hockey left. But, I don't see Montreal as a Buffalo Sabre, Edmonton Oilers team that gets hot in the first 10 and then just spirals out. They're too good of a team to do that. Are they going to go through their struggles? Of course. But every team goes through a 4 or 5 game stretch where they don't have it. So,
exactly.
So I think he's made some really promising moves here. A dark horse candidate for me could be Kyle Dubas.
You think so?
I think, well, again, the media, is located, a lot of them are in Toronto. So, but I mean, if Simmons has a good year, if Brody stabilizes things, maybe he gets some love.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, so that's kind of a dark horse one for me. Just
exactly. It's nice to see some of Bergevin's move actually work out compared to some other ones he's made, right?
Yeah, he's made some. He's a hit or miss guy.
Yeah, really.
Works really, really well or really terrible. Drouin.
He's probably kicking himself now for trading away Sergachev.
Yeah, hard not to. It would be really.
Yeah, I know.
He's a really good player, but yeah. But yeah, Bergevin. We both agree with Bergevin, so that's interesting.
I was surprised about that.
The Lady Byng Trophy, which is known as the most gentleman player on the ice, which is sometimes ridiculed. I know a lot of guys say it's a really prestigious award. I don't really particularly love this award, but who do you got winning the most gentleman?
This one's a real hard one to pick, I find. Like it's basically you have the rest of the awards, you have everyone that's playing well, most points, most goals.
Right.
And it goes to a guy that's playing well, but not in that caliber for award. So I got Point as a Lady Byng right now. Mm-hmm. Playing well, always like you look at Point in Tampa and you're like, wow, this guy's incredibly underrated. He's one of their best players by far, probably one of the best players in the league right now. But is he enough to get up to play like Art Ross but I think he might win that.
Yeah, I like that. I went with Nate McKinnon to repeat just because I'll mention one big reason later, but I think he doesn't take penalties. He doesn't really get involved in that physical style game. And normally it just comes down to, do you take penalties? Do you take unsportsmanlike conducts? Do you do that kind of stuff? And he's just kind of a mild mannered guy. Sid's not going to win this award because he likes to flap the gums a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think McPoint's a good one because he doesn't take a lot of penalties either. And I just think McKinnon's a mild mannered guy, so I could see him winning the award again.
Exactly. I think McKinnon's gonna have a standout year this year.
As do I, and I'll save that for later. The Selke Award, the best defensive forward in the NHL, normally goes to center. That doesn't mean that we have to pick a center. Maybe some of us won't. But best defensive forward last year, it was Sean Couturier winning the award. Who do you got winning the Selke Award this year?
I got Mark Stone. Judging by that face, I don't know if we agree on that one.
No, I have Stone too.
No, you don't really.
I do. Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. I have Mark Stone winning too.
Yeah. He's at, especially wearing the C this year, he's been starting off great, jumping into that leadership role. I followed him all through when he played Sanders, and he was playing both ends, and now he's tightened up on his skating, and he's become a lethal weapon out there. So I think he's a real strong potential for Selke. Also, Kopitar's having a great start to the season. If he can kind of maintain this, he might be in the talks too.
Yeah, he's had really a bounce. He's had a couple of years where he's played with not so great talent. He's had a great start to the year. I think Bergeron always will get some consideration. He's won the award 5-6 times now, so giving him another one. Yeah, he's consistent. But Stone is a right winger, but he covers the ice better than anybody, really. I mean, I think it'd be a shame if he went his whole career without winning one. And when he's in the neutral zone, he keeps a lot of pucks from getting towards his goaltending because he just takes it away. And it's an art form that he really perfected before he became a really good player. When he was in Ottawa and his skating was still very porous, he wasn't a goal scorer. He was a really good defensive forward.
And he's really good at protecting the puck.
Yes, extremely. He doesn't turn the puck over. And I just think he's on a really good team, and a lot of awards go to players on good records. So I think that'll help him too. But yeah, I'm with you. I like Stone.
No, I agree. That's is that 2 now that we matched up on?
Yeah, I know. It's crazy.
I didn't expect that.
Yeah. I thought Couturier before the year could repeat, but he's injured right now. So I don't know how many games, you miss and you can win an award. That's kind of a blurred line when it comes to every sport, but I think that could hurt him in the long run.
Exactly. And we'll see on a couple more awards if that will affect some different players right now.
Right. So pivoting to the Calder Trophy, which is the Rookie of the Year. We saw some really good players get nominated for last year in Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar. Both of them have had pretty solid starts to the year. I think Makar a little bit better than Hughes, but Calder Trophy this year, who do you have winning it?
I think this one's hands down right now. If you're looking at just overall performance, it's Kaprizov.
Yeah.
He's looked like he's been playing in the NHL for 2 years. He stepped out. I think he played 2 or 3 years in Russia.
He's been playing for St. Petersburg. He was 16. He's 23.
So yeah, in his last 2 seasons, he was point per game. So he doesn't even break a sweat, and he's had great chemistry with Parise and Nick Bjugstad.
Yeah, he was right. He was my pick. And the only pause I have with him is that he's 23, and competing with Lafreniere and Stützle and these guys. But there's not that many rookies when you think about this year. There's not that many. With a lot of guys didn't make their team out of camp. I thought Trevor Zegras could be like a dark horse, but he hasn't played a game yet. But he's looked the part of me in his first 3 games. In the first 2 games, he had 3 points, including an overtime winner, and then an assist on an overtime winner in the following game. And for all these rookies, we're talking about Stützle, for Lafreniere, Kaprizov, for me, the top 3. I don't expect any of the teams to make the playoffs, So it's just going to be who has the best production, the most impact. And I think it'll be Kaprizov or Lafreniere for me this year. Just I think they're both better than Ottawa, and Stützle might just have a tough year based on his surroundings.
The best thing about Stutzel is he'll get a lot of ice time to develop on those different plays, right? So
Yeah.
he may not have the most points, but he'll have those different experiences or those different actions in the offensive zone with it, teach him what he needs to do for the upcoming seasons. I got a question for you. Who does Kaprizov remind you of anyone?
Um,
Particular?
it's gonna be a big stretch, but Pavel Bure.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. I could see that.
he's
Fast and
fast. He's
adjustable to
really
score.
creative. He's dynamic. A little bit of Theo Fleury too.
Really? See, I had him comparable to Tarasenko, and Tarasenko's is a second/third year when he was showed a real presence,
Yeah.
but now Kaprizov coming in as first. But a couple notes: Hoglander from the Canucks. I
Mm-hmm.
found he's been playing really well.
He has been. Yeah, he's looked good.
Remember, we remember him from World Juniors 2 years ago.
Yeah.
He just lit it up. He was one of by far Sweden's best players.
Yeah, he has looked really good for them, and he could be a player. I like his work ethic. I think he makes good defensive plays, and they turn into offensive scoring chances for teammates and himself. So he
Yeah,
should get some runway in Vancouver, just with the players behind him. Erickson on the attack. Like I'd rather play the young guy than get Erickson or give Jake Virtanen more minutes. I mean that's nobody wants to watch
your
that.
your favorite player. I think right now they have him situated in the best spot. He plays with Pearson and Horvat.
Yeah, that's a
I don't
good
think
one.
Hoglander's exactly. I don't think Hoglander's ready for first line minutes,
Mm-hmm.
especially. But right now he has Horvat is a phenomenal player. Tanner Pearson, same thing. Both guys have Tanner Pearson has plenty of experience, so you can kind of learn from them. Another guy I had jotted down was Ty Smith. What's your opinion on him?
Yeah, he could be a dark horse. He looks good. I the way he's played the year, I don't worry about New Jersey taking him out of the lineup. I think they got to play him. He kind of the only thing I worry about with him is he reminds me of Will Butcher when he started playing for New Jersey. He came in, had an immediate impact. I think this year could be really good for him, but I want to see him play a larger sample size and kind of work on his defensive game a little bit because he's got all the offensive talent, but I'd like to see him play, the full 200 feet.
Yeah, I agree. I think he might be fizzing out by the mid of the year, even though it's a smaller year.
Mm.
But Kaprizov's my locked in number one.
Yeah, he's definitely the favorite right now. And he's 23, but he looks good. I mean, playing in Russia against men for a long time.
Exactly. And
Um,
Lafreniere might step it up. Who knows?
I think he will. I think he'll obviously he took 5 games. I think he'll have a solid year. I don't think he'll have a year where you're like, okay, who was drafted first overall? Like I think he'll be good.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
Vezina, Vezina Trophy, the
Vezina?
goaltender in the NHL. Connor Hellebuck won it last year. Who do you have winning it this year?
I have Vasilevsky
Mm-hmm.
right now. As we talked earlier, it's hard to tell because only played so many games. But based on the games he has played and his talent throughout the years, I think he's going to come in strong. They still have a great team, so I think he's going to be one of the heavy hitters. I think has an over 900 save percentage right now.
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, he's on the best teams. That always helps. I went with Carey Price, and I
Really?
went with Carey Price because I think Montreal is going to have a good season, and he hasn't been great to start the year. The team's been very good, but I don't worry about Carey Price finding he's Carey Price is Carey Price. I mean, he's going to be fine.
No,
Um,
he's one of those cornerstones, right?
yeah, I think Carey is going to have a good year. I think Montreal is going to have a good year. So I think with their defense core too. I mean, they got some really good defense in front of them, so they're going to be solid all year. And Montreal could blow up. I don't think so though. I mean, I have a lot of confidence in their club, and especially with the teams in their division that aren't that good. So Price, I like the Vasilevsky one. Another guy that I could maybe maybe see if he wins this division, Jordan Binnington. If St.
Yeah.
Louis somehow won the West, I think he has to get some looks because I mean you outlast Colorado and Vegas. That's an impressive feat.
It's gonna be a battle for sure.
But yeah, I just it's hard to not look at Price and say, okay, this guy's gonna, be a superstar for a long period of time here. And
Exactly, and
have a
he's
great
and he
year.
has been a superstar for a long period of time, right? So
Yeah.
it's
And
the only thing that might hurt Montreal is maybe injuries if they do experience anything.
yeah, that'll be their thing, especially the decor, and hopefully Carey Price can stay healthy. But yeah, he looks strong to start the year. Um, let's go to the Norris. You were a defenseman, so this is your position. Obviously, last year we saw Roman Yossi win the award. He's a great defenseman. Carlson was nominated. Victor Hedman, the best defenseman, was nominated but didn't win it. But that's a whole other story. But who do you have winning the award this year?
I have who should have won it last year in Victor Hedman again. Same thing with as like I was saying the last one. We only seen I think it's 4 games from Tampa so far, but just you if Hedman's on the ice, you know it. He has the puck. He controls the play. He like you said, he's the best D in the league right now. That's my number one pick. But close seconds would be I think Petrolangelo might have a blowout year. New team, good team. And you can't count out Yosi either. He's a good player, but I don't know how good Nashville's going to be this year.
Right. Yeah. I wanted to pick Hedman because he is the best defenseman. But I went with the second best defenseman in the NHL, and I went with Seth Jones. I worry about him never winning the award because of statistics and how this people like to vote on points with this award, and that bothers me to no end. But Seth Jones is just a force when he's on the ice. The way he just patrols the ice, how he controls the game. I mean, he's the best player on the Blue Jackets. He's one of the best players in the NHL, and his physical game, his skating has improved so much since he came into the league. I just love what he brings to the table, and I think it's hard to say that Seth Jones isn't one of the best in the league. And I think the voters will say, okay, he doesn't have X amount of points in a 56 game season, but we have to give him an award here. I mean, he's just a stud.
Oh, and I totally agree as well. Like you could see that as well as Norris is kind of based on not a defensive play or defenseman per se, but the most points a defenseman gets.
Mm-hmm.
So guys like Seth Jones in that case kind of doesn't shine, even though he is like we said, the quarterback of the team, right? Like I put Seth Jones as probably top 5 D-man in the NHL right now.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the way he played against Toronto, the way he played against Tampa a couple years ago, even Tampa in the playoffs last year. I mean, he can play 30 minutes a game and he makes it look effortless.
Well, he kind of reminds me of younger Hedman, really, for being honest.
Yeah, they're built the
Go
same.
skater. Yeah, they're big guys. Control the puck. They know their hockey IQ's out of this world. They're making plays that no one else is thinking of, right?
Mm-hmm. No, they're both really smart, and I'm making this pick more as a hope that voters will wake the fuck up, and more than logic, because I think Hedman has a good. I think honestly, Makar doesn't have a terrible chance at winning this award this year because he's going to put up points, and that's
Yeah,
half the battle.
exactly. Well, and I think Makar and Heiskanen, they'll be in the near future. They'll be the heavy hitters for the Norris, but you still have your top D-men like Hedman or Petrolangelo, Carlson, Jones. Like those guys will overshadow because they just had that much more experience. But I think Makar and them will definitely be in the running like they are now. You'll see them off in and out for the next 5-10 years.
Yeah, we talk about Hedman and Jones. I think Heiskanen's right there. Like he is an impressive player. He can do everything. Heiskanen, he's gonna win a Norris for his career's over, maybe more than one. I think he's that good.
I wouldn't be surprised if he won 2 or 3. To be honest, did you see that goal with? I think it was Taladandra's first goal.
Mm-hmm.
He coming across, never even seen him, Heiskin and head up, looking the other way, makes a pass, and then sure enough, it's in the back of the net.
Yeah, he's so good.
Yeah,
So yes, couple good. I mean, Hedman, Jones. Those are you can't go wrong with either of those two guys when you got them on your team.
exactly. I was surprised Hedman didn't win it last year, but
Yeah,
that's a separate topic.
yeah, that's another podcast. That brings us to our last two awards, the Hart and the Ted Lindsay. So the Hart Trophy is voted by the writers, and the Ted Lindsay is the MVP of the league voted by the players. So Hart Trophy, MVP of the league voted by the writers. Who do you have winning that award?
Well, for both of them, I have the same player, and I think going to have a standout season this year. It's Nathan McKinnon. I think you see these past couple years stepping up. He's just been a force in NHL. His skating is phenomenal. His shot is phenomenal. He just controls that line in Colorado. Like we've seen in the playoffs last year, like multiple goals, skating around, firing it in. Like he's just the backbone of Colorado. So I got him locked up for the Hart this year.
Yeah, as do I. I picked him before the year. He's such a good player. And he's on a good team. Rantanen, I think, will be in the running for the Rocket if McKinnon wins the Hart because I think he's going to score that many goals playing alongside him. But yeah, McKinnon, his skating, his vision, his play over the past couple of years speaks for itself. Just how dominant this guy is. We think of McDavid. We've seen some outliers win it in Kucherov, Taylor Hall. Kind of one-off players that are good but aren't necessarily elite talents. Draisaitl, who's really good, but I think it's about time McKinnon wins one here. And if he could propel Colorado to first in the West, that won't hurt him. But yeah, I picked him before the year, and I'm not going to back off that take now. I think he's right there.
No, I totally agree. Right, he's just a force to be reckoned with. But you can't count out McDavid or Draisaitl too. It's hard to say. Those guys, they're playing together. They're going to get points. It just depends how the trajectory of the team goes. Right.
Yeah, and what worries me about Edmonton is if they struggle. Like if you win the Hart, or you have to make the playoffs. For me anyway. If you're the MVP of the
Yeah.
league, your team has to be in the playoffs because otherwise you weren't that valuable.
Exactly. Are you worth being the MVP of the league if you're finishing bottom of your division, if you're finishing second last, right? So
right.
There's no.
Yeah, I worry about potentially Edmonton missing, so that might knock out McDavid and Draisaitl right there. I think, and you look around the league, I think maybe Marchand. I think there's an outside chance he could get nominated because if he has a big year, Pasternak's gonna. He might return tonight. I mean, David Pastrnak, can't wait to watch him play tonight. But Marchand, I think could be nominated. I think you never know. I think Matthews or Marner could be nominated for the award. Outside chance because they're both playing very well. So, but yeah, I like McKinnon, and probably if he wins it from the Hart, I think he'll probably win it from the players too. If he has a really dominant year, I think he'll likely get voted in too.
I agree, unless there's someone that's right there with McKinnon that they just say, okay, he won the Hart, let's give him the Ted Lindsay, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if Pastrnak steps in and just starts lighting up as he can, I know he's missed a handful of games, but he's going to be he is a superstar.
Yeah.
Like he could if like I find Ovechkin and Pastrnak, their goaling capabilities are obviously Ovechkin's the number one goal scorer around, right? So, but he could come into that Rocket Richard if you have the chance, right?
Absolutely. So we go through that, and I forgot about the Rocket Richard, but that'll be our last award here. The most goals, and then Pastrnak and Ovechkin tied for the league lead last year with 48. So Rocket Richard, most goals this year. Who do you have winning it?
I got Ovechkin. It's hard not to pick Ovechkin. I know he's missed a handful of games because of the bullshit COVID allegations they have against them.
Yeah.
Anyways, but yeah, he's just a pure goal scorer. Plus, he's chasing. He's chasing those records to become the best of all time, right? But yeah, I got him locked up as my number one right now, with Pasternak and even Matthews maybe being two other nominees.
Yeah. Before the year, I was with you. I had Ovechkin. I'm not going to pick against Ovechkin until somebody beats him, and that hasn't happened in a long time. So, but I'm just looking at he's got one goal. He's gonna have to score a bunch to get back in it, which he can. I mean, he's Alex Ovechkin, but I worry that he might be a little too far behind. And just based on what I've seen so far, I'm going to pick Austin Matthews because there's no Pasternak, because there's no Ovechkin. I think Matthews is probably the next best goal scorer. I think, like I said, I think Rantanen can be involved in that discussion because McKinnon's going to be feeding him all year and he could bury them. But I just think Matthews is playing at another level, and it's good to, if I don't pick a Leaf to win an award, like Seamus and my parents will never let me hear the end of it. So
They'll have your throats, that's for sure.
yeah, exactly. So Matthews, I'll say, will win it just based on Ovechkin and Pasternak not being there to start the year.
Mm-hmm.
Because I
No,
don't think he's a better goal scorer than either guy, though. Just to point that out to everybody.
no, and I find Matthews' game this season has been like another level compared to what we've seen him. Right, he's playing all around, and like we mentioned earlier, if he's stepping up, he's basically the nucleus of that team. Like they have some great players like Tavares and Marner and Anderson and Nylander, but like if he's playing well, they're playing well, and he is just on top of his game right now. And plus, with the division not being so strong, you might be able to see him score that much. He
Right.
might put in 2 or 3 goals against like a Senators game or the Canucks, right? If you're playing Senators 3 times in one weekend, you never know. That might be a 7-point series, right? So that it adds up. And when you're playing with Washington, like they got a little bit of a harder division, right? So
Right. And I forgot about the Art Ross, the most points. Who do you got winning the Art Ross? I kind of forgot about that one.
I got McKinnon again. I think he's gonna step out and do the same. Like I have him having a spectacular year this year. So I think he's gonna come in and win the Hart, win the Art Ross, and they'll make the playoffs and hopefully do some damage. But yeah, one guy I had at the start of the season, and their team is kind of not popping off, was Panarin. He played really well last year. I think he finished with 95 points. And he is a stud player, but Rangers look like they're having a terrible time right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick McKinnon too. I mean,